Meta emotions are often the reason that when we feel bad, we tend to feel even worse because we feel like we shouldn't be feeling bad. So, the idea of a meta emotion is that it's an emotion about an emotion. And typically, we only use meta emotions for negative emotions. So, the idea is that let's say that you feel sad, but then you feel guilty for feeling sad because you don't want to be sad around other people because you feel like you're bringing them down. Or you feel angry and you feel shame for feeling angry, things like that. So, it's essentially the feeling you feel about your feeling. And the reason that meta emotions are so important to focus on is because a lot of times they're the emotions that we have control over. And so when we're feeling sad and then we feel bad about ourselves, like we're failing when we're feeling sad, then that adds a whole nother layer of pain to our experience. And one of the biggest issues I see these days is that a lot of us feel like we shouldn't feel bad. And maybe it's social media, maybe it's our culture, but for whatever reason, we feel like everyone out here is just super happy and that we should be happy as well. And unless you're like my cat Mochi, it's really hard to be happy all the time. It's just not part of the human experience. It's not how we are. Most of us have 1, 2 weeks where we just feel really bad. Like maybe we feel really sad, maybe we're really anxious, and that's completely normal. Typically, the more harder things you're doing with your life, the more you should expect to feel a significant amount of negative emotions. And that doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that you're a person and you're facing some adversity, and it's completely normal to feel sad or angry or frustrated or even anxious, because like who wouldn't feel anxious when they kind of see what's going on these days, right? So it's very normal for us to experience these states. And so if you're kind of someone that like experiences negative emotions and you feel like, oh, I shouldn't feel like this, and you have this like urgency to get out of it, then that's something that's much easier to work on than necessarily just getting rid of the negative emotion. And one of the things that is important to remind yourself is that feeling bad is really normal, and everybody feels bad. Like everybody, even the people you think that are out there and you think they're happy all the time, it's very unusual to be happy all the time. Everyone experiences a decent amount of negative emotion, and if you're in that place right now where you're just having a week, a month where you're just not in a good place, that's okay and that's normal. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that forever, but it doesn't mean that you don't have the right to be like that.